Discover the entire Brazilian agricultural innovation ecosystem. Digital agriculture is one of the themes of AgriTalks, a series of conversations about production and technology in agribusiness. Sign up and participate.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to all the delegates and distinguished speakers who have joined this session, this virtual session from India as well as Brazil. Good morning to all the guests who have joined us from Brazil. I am Krishna Mishra from Elite's Technomedia. AgriTalks India Brazil aims to bring together the collaboration between the two countries of India and Brazil on a common platform and learn from each other how both these countries can scale to newer heights under a collaborative partnership. So we had an inaugural session which started at 4 o'clock. We were joined by the Ambassador of Brazil in New Delhi and also by Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare and Government of India. Taking on the discussions, it's my pleasure to welcome here eminent speakers for the panel discussion number one, the technology cooperation for agricultural efficiency. This session would be moderated by Mr. Delcy Begolin, Agriculture Attaché, Embassy of Brazil in New Delhi. Please join me in welcoming Dr. R.B. Singh, former President, National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. We also welcome Dr. Neeru Bhushan, Chief Executive Officer, Pusa Krishi, ICAR, Indian Agricultural Research Institute. We welcome Mr. Hendrik Rice, International Office Coordinator, Supra Park. We welcome Mr. Alexander Bonilla, Decoy Smart Control. And finally, we also welcome Mr. Sagar Kaushik, President of Global Corporate and Industry Affairs in UPL Limited. A heartiest welcome to Mr. Delcy Begolin also, Agriculture Attaché in the Embassy of Brazil in New Delhi. As I mentioned, the topic of this panel discussion is a very relevant topic, the technology cooperation for agricultural efficiency. We'll strive to find out how both the countries can come together and forge effective partnerships, can come together and leverage technology, and can come together and increase the overall productivity of the agricultural sector in either countries. So with this, I hand over the podium to Mr. Delcy Begolin, Agricultural Attaché from the Embassy of Brazil in New Delhi. Over to you, Mr. Begolin.
Okay, good morning and good evening, everyone. I am Delcy Begolin, and it's great to have all of you here to talk today about the technology cooperation for agricultural efficiency. India and Brazil are both recognized as very important countries regarding innovation in agriculture, with a large number of startups in each country and a solid innovation environment. In 2019, the Brazilian Embassy in New Delhi, in partnership with Pusa Krishi ICAR, started the program MATRI, India-Brazil Agritech Cross Incubation, which brought 5 Brazilian startups to India in the first stage of the program. It is the first initiative between Brazil and India in this area, and it is also the first cross incubation program developed by the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and now it's a model for other Brazilian embassies around the world. So we will talk today about this experience and how we can improve the relationship between Brazil and India in this field. So let's start our conversation. And to give us a more broad view about the international cooperation in the innovation in agriculture, I would like to invite Dr. R.B. Singh, former president of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences of India, NAAS. So, Dr. Singh, welcome. And I would like to ask you, how is NAAS promoting excellence in agricultural science and mobilizing interaction among researchers of national and international organizations?
Dr. First Singh, of all, mention that new technology and innovations have transformed India from ship-to-mouth situation to a food surplus country, triggered by the technology cooperation among the various countries as well as with the international institutions, particularly the CGIL institutions. We were able to adopt, introduce, and develop new high-yielding varieties of rice and wheat, which changed the India from the situation, as I mentioned, ship to mouth to food excess. Today, as a matter of fact, the green revolution as we know it is because of this process, and this was followed soon by the white revolution, by the so-called the golden revolution or yellow or horticultural revolution, and also the blue revolution, that is the fisheries and fish system. And in this revolution, India had increased the total production several times of several commodities. The increase between 1951 to today is about more than 6 times in food grains, in horticultural crops about 11 times, milk production about 12 times. Today, India is the number one country in the world as a milk producer. And so the livestock sector, which we have a lot of cooperation between Brazil and India, the livestock sector, this is a very big achievement. Now, these had resulted into the more than two-thirds to three-fifth reduction in the poverty and hunger as we see in India. And today, with this consideration of new technology, with the international cooperation, India has emerged as the second largest agrarian economy in the world. And we are among the top two producers in the world of one or the other commodity, which are the major commodities. And just to give you one instance, last year India exported the new basmati rice outcomes of the cooperation, which has resulted into about 15 billion US dollar worth is the value of that export. So I wish to submit that this has been a wonderful development through cooperation. But today India is in a very enigmatic situation. We have all this growth rate of 7 to 8% of the GDP. We have all those developments through revolutions, but we find a very large proportion, 1/4 of the world hungry, have their homes in India, and we have the 1/3 of the stunted and almost half of the wasted children of the world are having their homes. They are our own children in India. So these enigmatic situations, I will seek solutions possibly from you, because Brazil was the country which was the first country to come up with the word so-called the zero hunger. And zero hunger was initiated in the earlier part about 10, 12 years ago, and the tremendous impact of this we see that Brazil has emerged to be in that category of zero hunger countries. Now, if that be the case, I am familiar that with Joe Graziano, he was the minister for this ministry, Graziano da Silva, who was the Director General of FAO also, and a great friend of mine. We had worked together at several places. So through him, as a matter of fact, I was able to really get some insight into the process, and we applied quite a few of those development activities here. And probably it is because of Brazil that the Ban Ki-moon, the then Secretary General of the United Nations, declared the Global Zero Hunger Challenge program for the world as a whole, and he mentioned about 5 pillars of this development. And those 5 pillars were 100% access to adequate food all year round, zero stunted children less than 2 years. As a matter of fact, this is a big challenge, and we would like to see that how can we really succeed in India, particularly in meeting our children's health. All food system must be sustainable. 100% increase in smallholder productivity, as the Prime Minister of India today talks about doubling of the farmer's income, and this was already enunciated in the Ban Ki-moon's declaration of freeing the whole world of the hunger. And then, of course, emphasis was on zero loss and waste of food. My question to maybe our Brazilian friends will be that you became zero hunger long ago, and if you became zero hunger, was it the initiative that you took related to family farms, Or was it because of the food subsidy or the cash transfer that you initiated, or it is the Bolsa Familia which you operate today, which of these instruments actually were most important in your case, and so that India can benefit from that. Several of the initiatives that you took, India would like to know which of those were most instrumental for you. One thing I just wanted to mention about the white revolution, because we, being number one in the whole world, and now the livestock sector contributes to more than 30%, 31% of the total GDP, and maybe by 2030 or 35, the livestock will contribute to about almost 40 to 50% of the total agricultural GDP. So livestock will play a very important role. And in Brazil, livestock is a very important sector. And I remember several years ago, and I understand there was an agreement, and Brazil was able to take the gir. Gir is a breed which is found in India, in Gujarat, as a matter of fact, particularly in that area, which you call the Brahman bulls and so on in Brazil. You made use of the gir semen and artificial insemination. You improved your gir tremendously. Today, India is in search of some of those germplasms and the genetic materials which possibly could be used for artificial insemination in India to really improve the Indian breeds, because the Indian gir breeds will be the most invaluable material for developing our livestock sector. Therefore, I will ask, this is my second question to you, sir, that whether Brazil would be able to, in a position to help us in really getting back some of those. Now, in the
Thank
last
you very
question,
much.
yes, I know the last question will be just very simple, and that simple, and also the appeal that I am making, that the total biodiversity that the Green Revolution or other revolutions had really brought in. You in Amazon, the Amazonian deforestations and also lost lot of biodiversity. Now, when we enter into any trade agreements or some of the new activities of startups and innovations exchanges and so on, and trade market exploitation through various means now, which is much easier today, will it be that we shall be keeping in mind that there will be recognition of the plant variety or the original indigenous variety uh, assets recognition, and there will be, as the global biodiversity system asks for it, will the Brazil be able to accept it as it is by the international system, the FAO Treaty on Gene Agreement, and the sharing of the genetic resources? If that be the case, in trade agreement, we should be able to have a provision for protecting our biodiversity. And
Thank
possibly,
you.
if the collaboration has to go a long way, the biodiversity must be protected. Sorry for taking a little longer, but if you have any question to me, you can ask me. I'll be delighted to answer. Thank you. But I put you three questions, and I would like to see that those three questions are answered adequately. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your words, Dr. Singh. Definitely the food security, the cooperation in the animal husbandry, the production of milk using zebu cattle, and the biodiversity are three areas that definitely we need to strengthen the cooperation in these areas. I will ask you other panelists in your space if we can share some thoughts about these questions. Okay, and thank you very much. Well, I would like to invite now Dr. Niru Bhushan, who is CEO of Pusakrishi, and she coordinates the Indian side of the Matri Cross Incubation Program. So welcome, Dr. Bhushan. To start, I would like to ask you, what is the role of Pusakrishi in the agri-innovation environment in India?
Thank you, Mr. Dalsey, for giving me this debate. We are implementing a very good very ambitious program given by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Cooperation in the area of agri innovation, which is for the startups. So in one go, we established around 29 incubators in 23 states. And in last year, in 2 years' time, that we could train around 2,557 startups, and 814 startups were being funded. So around we gave to them around 87 crores of funding to the startups so that they can mitigate their initial challenges, and then throughout the program in 28 incubators, the same program has been designed and coordinated, and I am really happy to share that around 2,800 plus new technologies and products has been launched into the market by these startups. So that is the way that the agri innovation through startups we are taking care of, and it is a flagship program by the Ministry of Agriculture. So that's, and moreover, these startups are taking care of the evolving agribusiness scenario in India. They are working in the precision agriculture using the big data analytics and hyperspectral images, and providing using the combination of the technology by which we can have the good crop monitoring and data, and so that they can use the forecasting models and for the better yield and the productivity, as well as the farming as a service is also coming in a big way. And these startups are providing the market linkages as well as the farm mechanization as a service. And moreover, the another challenge that my senior colleague has mentioned about the livestock sector. So these startups are also working in the livestock sector, where they are providing the platform technology wherein we are getting the type of feeding, breeding, health management, sort of, and the new gadgets that we are also getting for the disease monitoring, disease detection at the very early stage. So these are few areas where these startups are working in agriculture area, and I'm very hopeful that these agri innovation will help us in reaching the goal of our government of India, that doubling the farmers' income. Yeah, thank you. You are mute, Mr.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bhushan. And I can testify that this is a huge and successful program of innovation here in India. But I'd like to ask you, how was the experience of starting a cross-incubation program with Brazil? Because it's a unique experience until now.
It was a Indian and as well as the Brazilian startup, and because by taking into consideration that what are the requirements from the Indian side and what are the requirements from the Brazilian side, so these startups were being selected, as well as the matchmaking has been done. When they were, I'm happy that we hosted the Brazilian delegation, and when we did the matchmaking between these startups from the other startups within the cohort, outside the cohort, as well as giving them the regulatory and the culture regarding that flavor. We are also have we could also give them a chance to interact with our corporates. My colleague from UPL is here, so he spent a lot of time with these startups. So that's how we thought that we were in a position to give them a start ahead so that they can explore in the market. I'm really very happy to apprise that the Brazilian startup TNS, so from India startup Natura Crop Care, they came together, and then the product has been sent to India, and now they are under the field trials. So that's how we can see some the joint venture activity or the market exploration. And the same way, the another India startup from the Indian cohort side, the Satyug, so they also have one startup solution. Half of the solution was with the another Brazilian startup with the TrueFlow, and half of the solution which was required for them with this. So they are also coming together, and because due to the COVID, the similar way that the another startup that they are exploring, and I'm happy and I'm really very grateful to you that you could connect them with the Brazilian side of it for the technology transfer for sugarcane silage technology. That was his requirement, because that will help him in diversification of their basket. Another startup which was the Genron for the sorting and grading of the oranges, and we know that Brazil is a home for oranges. So this startup and the machines can find a place in the Brazilian market. So this is a way that these startups are really helping, means they are working together, and I'm very hopeful. Because of the COVID, the entire mission got disrupted, and I'm very hopeful with the virtual, when we will be having the virtual Brazilian side of the mission, so we will be in a position to have some tangible outcomes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr.
So
Bhushan, for this overview. Thank you for this overview about the METRI program. We know that there is huge potential to expand this program in the future. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Henrique Reis, who is Office Coordinator of Supera Park International, where he is responsible for the internationalization of incubating associate startups. And Supera Park is one of the incubators selected to receive the India delegation of the METRI program in Brazil. So, Mr. Reis, one of my questions is, how can Brazil technological parks cooperate with Indian ecosystem in agriculture?
Thank you, everyone. Hello, good morning, and good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Delcy. Well, how can a park work with this kind of program? I would like to say just a little bit about the Supera Park and what kind of programs we have here and what kind of programs we can achieve with the Brazilian government, and also what we can achieve between this making this cross incubation that we can get from the METRI program. Here in Brazil, we have a lot of startups. We have a lot of technology that can be set up to another countries, and one of them, of course, it's India. But I can see that we have some kind of issues, that we have some challenge about the internalization. We need to try to come up with some ideas to some programs that can help these companies, the Brazilian companies and the Indian companies, to come together to start developing a product together, to start doing some map making, some big ideas together, a collaborative plan. And this is what we can try to come up here in Supera Park. We have a program that's designed for this kind of collaborative work. And also we are always open to another programs. One of them, I can say here, that's the METRI program. And this, I can see that can achieve a lot of goals, not only for the Brazilian part, but also to the Indian part, because this kind of internalization between two companies that are totally different, but we can work together to develop a new technology, an innovation, a new product, a new service. It's the best way that we can try to achieve these goals. And here in Brazil, we have a lot of parks that can that have this agriculture, that has expertise in agriculture, and one of them is Supera Park. Not only because of the region here, but also we have in our portfolio a lot of companies in the agriculture. I think that after my speech, I think that Bonilla, who is also the representative of a company that went to METRI program, he is going to tell us a little about how was the experience being part of this, being part of the METRI program. And now we are developing the second part, which is the companies, the Indian companies that are coming to Brazil, and how we can show them what we have here in Brazil and what can be very productive for them. Thank you all. I think that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to answer them. Thank you. Mr. Dacia, I think that you're muted.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, my second question to you is why it is interesting for Indian agritechs to get to know Brazil?
It's interesting because as we already heard, we have a lot of similarities between the Brazilian agriculture and also the Indian agriculture. So one way it's when we try everything individually, but when we try to get this collaborative work, not only we have a jump on the marketplace because we will have a new product that can be sold not only in Brazil but also to the Indian market. So we have another kind of company that can. One thing is to try to sell only in Brazil or only in India. But when we have this collaborative work between two countries, we have another level. So we do believe that this kind of internalizations between the companies, internalizations and these connections and relationships between the countries are the first thing that we need to do to help our startup from the Brazilian part and also for the Indian part.
And finally, what types of programs do incubators like Supera Park have to cooperate with Indian companies?
The first one was the Matrix program, which is a cross incubation. So we have an expertise about this kind of program that is set up between two countries, but also we have a soft landing program that is designed for 9 companies that would like to come to Brazil to start doing their groundwork here. So we help them with marketing analysis, with legal aspects, and also we help them try to find connections between potential distributors, potential clients to see if their product or their is compatible to the Brazilian market. This kind of program is a program that we have here in Park, and the only criteria are that the companies need to be a technological-based company. So they do need to have innovation inside them, or even a new product or a new service. And this kind of program, it's one that we have a lot of expertise because we try to connect the foreign company with the Brazilian market by using all of our networking that we have here in Brazil.
Okay, thank you very much for this overview about the innovation environment in Brazil. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Alexandre Bonilha, who is the representative of the COI Smart Control, which one of the companies that was part of the MET program here in India. So welcome, Mr. Bonilha. I would like to ask you, could you explain how the COI Smart Control does, and what was your goal while participating in the incubation program in India?
Yes. Once again, good morning. Namaste, namaskaram. We all know that pandemic, and we all know that we were living the fourth industrial revolution. And we all know that this digital immersion is also impacting agricultural system, livestock, dairy sector, stakeholders at all. We're talking about robots, temperature and moisture sensors, aerial images, and even GPS technology. But what about the pest control? We're talking about revolution, we're talking about changing paradigms, we're talking about changing and increasing efficiency. But what about pest control? In terms of pest control, Brazil and India, and also worldwide dairy and husbandry sector, they are using aggressive chemicals. With that, we are generating resistant pests. So what we're talking about here is that we're leaving the slowly end of the chemical pest control and beginning the biological era. Decoy has developed a harmless and very efficiency technology with biological control. If we are aiming to live in a world with more food security, if we are aiming to live with more sustainable foods, we don't want that future tomorrow. We want that future right now. We're talking about animal health and we're talking about human health. With these aggressive chemicals, we are losing productivity in the dairy, in the livestock sector. Why is that? The chemical use leave residues into the milk and the meat, and the Decoy's product doesn't leave residues at all. So in this kind of transformation that goes since customizing seeding strategies and even drone work, agricultural efficiency needs to be improved, and we're not doing that with chemical anymore. We're doing that with biological technologies. That's why we are here, and that's Decoy's purpose. The first India-Brazil cross-border incubation program was an eye-opening experience, since Decoy and also the other Brazilian startups could identify and know the local problems of the India market. It was a completely transformation program that we strongly recommend, of course, and we support, since the program also transformed our perspective as we knew India and other India and other closer countries does not aim this kind of solution right now. So once again, we're very happy to be here, and Decoy is revolution for animal and human healthy.
And considering the company progress after participating in the program, what were the main gains you got from the experience?
The biggest gain we had was the connection with corporates, connection with big incubation programs, and also all kind of possibilities of technology transformations. It's very different to study India marketing here and going to India. It's completely different at all. You can hear and listen from specialists, as a special Dr. Neeru Bhushan was an incredible woman doing the leading and conducting all of us with these interactions. We stood 2 weeks in India, one week in Hyderabad, especially, and 1 week in New Delhi. These 2 weeks wasn't exhausting at all. We could identify the similar issues, we could identify the similar solutions, and we could study, as we are doing right now, how to be more collaborative, how to send technology, and how to make it work. So once again, if we're talking about security, food security, if we're talking about a more sustainable place, we're talking about biological control.
Thank you very much for your testimony about this participation in the program. That is so much valuable. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Sagar Kaushik, President Global Corporate and Industry Affairs of UPL. UPL is an Indian company in the agrochemical sector, and which was one of the biggest worldwide, and also with a large presence in Brazil. And Mr. Kaushik has been very active in strengthening the relationship between Brazil and India, and also participated in the METRO program. So, Mr. Kaushik, welcome. I would like to ask you, how does UPL see the agri-tech startups development to improve agriculture efficiency and sustainability? Mr. Kaushik, your phone is mute, your mic is mute.
Yeah. So, Dalji, thanks a lot, and I'm so pleased today. I almost see that I'm in the environment of Brazil. So I'm very happy today to be partnering here. Now, to come to your questions, let me give some overview from a very practical point of view of a corporate. So UPL actually moved quite ahead in terms of the to induct the role of the uh, startups, if you say, more inside the environment of the company. And in the last 2.5, 3 years, I want to share with you that we have been able to create a digital organization within our own company, which was almost like a startup. We got the people from outside and allowed them to work independently. It is more like house in house kind of a startup. And some of them, they were doing the startup and they preferred to become insider to UPL, and they were facilitated. And nobody was their boss. They were to themselves, and even today it stays there. Now, the outcome is that we have launched this startup, internally incubated startup by the name called Nurture.farm. And this is already launched some months ago. Now, what does it do? So basically, it is creating the environment of digitalization. Somebody talked about the similarity between India and Brazil. Now, yes, we have the almost similar type of crops. We have in India, we have in Brazil. Animal part also, animal health people have already described. But I think the big difference is the industrialization of agriculture and the small farmers in India. So therefore, small farmers, they have plenty of problems in terms of the fragmentation of the land, the lack of remuneration, inadequate infrastructure, advisory issues. Millions of farmers, they want the advice at the same time. And it is impossible for the experts to provide that kind of thing. So now this area we have been able to provide the answer through our internally evolved startup called Nurture.farm. And now Nurture is able to provide all the interventions which are required uh, for the entire farm cycle of the crop, from sowing till harvest to post harvest, and going up to even the finally connecting to the trade. So this gives certain type of resilience to the farmer. And the digitalization part is also broken into several streams. The first stream will be the onboarding of the farmers, and which is basically how we bring the farmers, we onboard them from the advisory point of view. Then we go to the next level, which is the expansion of our digital retail. And we have learned that a lot of changes in the COVID times are required. The retail has to reach closer to the farmer, almost at the doorstep of the village. And this is possible digitally, and we are able to do that. Now, and further, we are able to connect with the demand. And that is basically the nurture trade. And finally, it is the nurture sustainability, which is in terms of the residue management. I think somebody mentioned about the crop residue, the crop safety, etc. I think there are mechanisms, there are processes which are we are able to do all digitally. So therefore, if you run this process, it's not only that you are able to give a more sustainable form of the crop, but the farmers also become resilient. The difference which exists between Brazil and India, that the Indian farmer is small, but now digitally you are able to onboard even 50,000 farmers you can onboard in one day. And so therefore the farmers are united, the activities are united. We are able to provide the mechanization as the fastest penetration, which was never been able to do it. And this has been possible through the digitalization. The machines, which are mechanization machines, which are used in Brazil by a single farmer. These same machines we are using in India, but they are servicing thousands of the farmers. So therefore, those differences have been brought together, and this is what the startups could do. That you have to we have to bring those ideas by which we are able to aggregate the farmers so that they feel empowered to take the bold decision. A small farmer having 1 hectare, when he looks at the machine, he says, well, that's not for me. And he gets economically scared. But the digitalization part, he actually empowers him to do that. So I think that is what I would say that is a something by actually doing it, and we have brought that at the level of the farmers already, and it is providing the benefit to the farmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sagar. We are without any time available, so we need to finish the panel. But we have some questions from the audience about the cooperation in dairy products, palm oil, and food quality, that we can sum up to the questions raised by Dr. Singh, which only demonstrate how the huge opportunity that we have to cooperation between Brazil and India and innovation and agriculture. So I would like to thank everyone for attending this event, especially the panelists, and who gave valuable insights about the topic, and that will help to improve the cooperation, the relationship between Brazil and India in this area. So thank you for all.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, it was such a lively discussion that 30 minutes just went through, and we are not able to find out how has the time flown so fast. I was just wondering if we had kept this session for around at least 1 hour, and the discussions could have been really more fruitful. But yes, time is a constraint. Without taking much more of your time, I would request my backend team to present the speaker certificates to all the esteemed panelists here. This token of gratitude for Mr. Delcy Begolin, Agriculture Attaché in the Embassy of Brazil in New Delhi. Thank you, Mr. Begolin, for so beautifully moderating this session. The next certificate of gratitude is for Dr. R.B. Singh, former president of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, ICAR. Thank you, Dr. R.B. Singh, for taking out time and sharing your rich perspective on this topic here. Then we had Dr. Neeru Bhushan, CEO of Pusa Krishi, ICAR, Indian Agricultural Research Institute. Thank you, Dr. Neeru Bhushan, for your warm perspective on this topic. And thereafter, we had Mr. Henrik Reis from the Brazilian side, international office coordinator for Supera Park. Thank you, Mr. Henrik. And then we had, again from the Brazilian side, Mr. Alexandre Bonilla from Decoy Smart Control, who spoke on the topic of technology cooperation for agricultural efficiency. Thank you, Mr. Alexandre.
Dhanyavad.
And finally, we had Mr. Sagar Kaushik from UPL, the President, Global Corporate and Industry Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Kaushik, to you as well. So with this, we come to a conclusion of this session and move on to the next panel discussion on towards the future of food security with agri-techs. Thank you and best wishes.